Okay, thank you, Mukti.
Yeah, thank you. The analogy of the blue sea. The water's not blue, the blue sky. The sky is not blue. It's space. All the sky is space. And the space in the room that you're in now, is it blue? And the space outside the room, is it blue? You'd have to go up and look up into the sky and see the blueness is always further out, the appearance. The water in the mirage, is there any water in a mirage? When you drive up to it, what appeared to be water disappears. So when it's investigated, these things are investigated, they fall apart. Well, investigate this belief, if you're still believing in it. Some of you have seen through it right now, that this person or this individual, this entity you believe yourself to be, is a separate entity. Is it? Is there such a thing as a person there? A conceptual image. There's a conceptual image there, but just like the ocean appearing to be blue, is that conceptual image what you are? Am I this body? Am I this mind? I believed that I was this body and this mind, but if I investigate, and what's this body made up of? And see, the body's made up of elements, made up of air, earth, fire, water, space, just like the elements that you are in right now and around you. They're all around you. And it's no different from the elements around you, the body, but seemingly solid and substantial. But break it down. Take the elements out of it. See if you're separate from those elements at all. Take the water out of your body. Your body's about 60%, I'm told. I thought it was about 80% water. Take the air out of it. Stop breathing. See how long you last without breathing. Take the water out of it. I've mentioned the water. Take the fire, the body temperature. You get hypothermia and die. Get off the earth if you can. Get out of space if you can. So when you investigate it, you're not separate from these elements at all. And this body that's seemingly solid can be broken down into those elements. The words you speak are sound. Sound is a vibration. A vibration is a movement of energy. So the body can be broken down into subatomic particles, into energy. The mind can be broken down, or the so-called mind, the thoughts, feelings can be broken down into energy. But it's seemingly solid. Put this body under a microscope and see how solid it is. But it appears to be and seems to be so. And the very life in it is what's animating it, patterning it, shaping it, and forming it. Where did it begin? We'll go back as far as your father and your mother. When you go back before that and trace it back, you can't say there is a beginning, any beginning to it. It's a beginningless beginning, and it's an endless end. So it has no stoppers or boundaries on it whatsoever. We go back to your father and your mother, as I said before, that animating life essence, the intelligence energy that was expressing and patterning, shaping and forming through that body, just the same as it's expressing, patterning, shaping through that body you call you right now. In that body, through the essence of the food, which was keeping it going, and the breath, the prana, or the breath, the air, the breathing, and the essence of the food, enabled in that pattern a little microscopic particle called a sperm to form. You can't see it with your naked eye, this actual sperm. You can see what... And that sperm was suffused with innate intelligence. It wasn't just a dead thing floating around. It was life itself. It was suffused with that life essence. It was swimming around. And it knew where to swim to. And the same life essence in your mother enabled in that pattern. Another microscopic particle called an egg or an ovum to form. And that egg or ovum was suffused with intelligence energy also. It knew what to do. It attached itself to the wall of the uterus. And the sperm knew what to do. When it was released, it swam to the ovum. And it penetrated the ovum. And that intelligence in it, knowing what to do with the genes that were in the two coming together, doubled that cell, doubled it again, and formed a little embryo, a little fetus, which is what you are today. So you see, you've never been separate from any of it, and you had no beginning. You can't remember your birth because you had no words, but you've seen the birth of lots of other animals, birds, insects, and possibly other humans. If you've seen birth happen, you know what it is. But you've seen animals birthing, how it comes about. And what happened when you were born? Did you say, well, I'm out now I'm going to take my first breath? No. You didn't have any words, you couldn't say that, and you didn't know anything about it, but you got a slap on the backside, I think it was, and made you gasp for it. And the breathing started, and the little heart was beating in it already, and the cells were being replaced already. It was growing. For 9 months it had grown in the womb. Now it was ready to come out. Now when you come out also, what do? They cut the cord. You were getting that life from the mother coming in through the cord into your solar plexus, where your belly button is, which they call the solar plexus. Why would they call it that? Because solar is the sun. It's the sun plexus, and the sun gives light to the earth. And that light is energy, and that light shines through your eyes, coming through that body. It's the light in which you see by. And it's the light which gives life to that body. And light is life. Life is energy. Energy is power. And it's seemingly separate, but it's not separate from the one. You can't separate it from that one essence, because it's all appearing in its absoluteness, in its great perfection. Not separate. But the sense of separation comes upon us, not until we learn words. You don't realise you're separate till you learn words. At about 2.5 or 3 or less than that, some of you might be smarter than others and learn the words sooner than others might. And where do you learn words from? Naturally from your parents. Now they're fussing around you and telling you little Johnny or your little Billy or little Jane or little this or little that. And with the reasoning starts and learning that word, you say, the sense of presence that's expressing through it, you learn I or me from your parents. And you learn I am little Billy. They told me that's who I am. And I start to believe that I am little Billy, not realising that sense of presence translates to the thought or the word I am. The sense of presence. It is a sense, and that sense becomes a feeling, an emotion. The sense of presence translates into the thought or the word I am. Now, instead of seeing that I am the reality, I am the absolute, in this particular unique expression, Now I've taken on I am Billy or Bob or whatever my name might be. And I am this individual, I am this separate entity. And I add words to that, concepts, ideas and images. And they're going to tell you in Buddhism, the great perfection, which is the same as the absolute, is non-conceptual awareness. But we've learned all these concepts and words and add them to this I amness. Now what is I amness? It's the sense of presence, sensation of presence. I feel present. And there is awareness of this presence, a knowingness in it. And that knowingness or awareness, as I say, that's another name for God or life. So now, but we don't take it to be the God or the life, we take it to be this persona, this mask. So I am Billy, this separate entity, this individual, I'm a good fella, or I'm not so good, my parents have told me, I don't like this, or I do like that. All translated and taken on board by this persona, this mask, this conceptual image. I formed a concept and the belief goes into the concept, and that concept becomes a separate entity because it's not the same as all the other concepts. Each concept is different. But this one belongs to me, this persona. But you see, it doesn't really, because the persona is just a concept also. And if it's non-conceptual awareness, that is what I am. And the great perfection, as I say, is non-conceptual awareness. Awareness without a concept. What am I without the word or the concept?
Yeah.
Well, investigate. What is that sense of presence if I haven't put it onto the conceptual image I have about myself? That sense of presence is a sensation or a feeling of being alive, of being aware, of knowing. But it's translated to me, Bob, the Australian, the good bloke that's being, that's knowing, and happiness, instead of seeing it as pure being. And as soon as a sense of presence translated into the thought, I am. But it's not I am the absolute, which it should be, it's I am Bob, the separate entity, the individual, the persona.
Yeah. I've got a nice little input here from Johannes. Is amness not truer than I amness?
Is
Amness, instead of I am, is just am, just being, without the I.
Yes. Well, am, was, is, was and were are
Yes.
the verb to be. Amness is beingness.
That's
Isness
Yeah.
is presence. Yes. Yeah. But to describe it and express it, you've got to say I am. The sense of presence translates and comes out as I am. Where's the I come from? It's a word we've learned, or what is that word? Isn't it the basic sound?
Yeah.
The basic sound in which they say the world formulates from, the Om. Om, drag that out into I am, is Om. That's the primary sound, the primary word, the primary thought, the primary idea. And what we're pointing to is true. We're pointing to the primary essence, but instead of seeing it as the primary essence, we take it, I am me, I am myself, I am separate, I am the person, I am the individual. Instead of saying I am the absolute, Om is the absolute. I am that absoluteness. I am that totality. I am the great perfection. The great perfection is non-conceptual. All these things point to it. But no, not us. We've taken on this concept of being human and try to maintain that and keep it going. But it's the human, and this is being human. That's another way of putting Sat Chit Ananda. Sat Chit Ananda, Nama Rupa are the 5 factors of Hinduism. Sat is existence, Chit is consciousness, Ananda is loving to be, or bliss of being. And another way, and the Nama Rupa, the name and form, the body, mind. The body's the name, the body's the form, and the name we put on it. Maya, or illusion. Another way for Sat Chit Ananda is being, knowing, and loving to be. Anyone who is not being right now, and you must realise, no, I'm being. I can't get away from that fact. I am being, and I'm knowing that. So and that being and knowing is an awareness of being. That's appearing in the awareness. The awareness is first now. The first now is translated into I am, which becomes the conscious label. But instead of I am the totality, which we were never told and we never investigated at the start, we took on from what our parents told us, I'm little Johnny or little Billy, I'm a human pattern. But have a look at that. Are you being right now? Of course I am. You can't say I am not. You could say it, but it wouldn't be the truth, would it?
No.
You could say it, I am not being, but you know it's the truth. It's the very beingness that's enabling you to say it. It's the very life in you. So it can't be negated. And you're knowing that, and you're loving to be. And we've learnt these words which discriminated, and the word's not the real, it's not the thing. The word water is not the word fire won't burn your mouth. Excuse me, the word I is not what you are. So, realise that every word you've ever spoken has been learnt. It's been acquired. It's not your birth, right? You weren't born with a word. It would have been there. You had sounds, vibration, energy was there. But the capacity of reasoning developed when you learnt these words, which is a useful capacity. But it's self-destructive when it uses you. As many good things come through that capacity of reasoning. Lots of things were invented, a lot of things seemingly created or made with the with the capacity of reasoning, utilising but it's self-destructive. Capacity of reasoning is self-destructive when it tells me I'm not good enough, or I'm fearful, I'm anxious. Instead of I am the reality, I am the absolute. So with the learning of words and the belief going into the word, after all, what is word? Isn't it sound? And isn't sound a vibration? And vibrations or throbs or vibration of the pattern which is the word. Like it sounds, vibrates. If you've got a violin string and you pluck it or run a string over it, it'll make a sound, which we call a musical note. And out of that musical note coming together, we can play a beautiful melody or a beautiful tune or whatever. And with the words, we can formulate stories. Plenty of stories go on through the word. And every fairy story, there's lots of fairy stories in the old days, which had morals to them, most of them, which were pointed to the way to live. Every fairy story starts with once upon a time and ends with living happily ever after. But there was no beginning to it, because without time, how can you postulate or think of a beginning? You can't. So when does this so-called now, you say it begins now, when does now begin? And when you look at it and try and grasp it, well, it'll start with now, beginning right now. But that's already gone as soon as I've said it. Yes. And it's now again. So it has no ending to it. And like a lot of these stories we have, they don't seem to have any ending to it. They keep going on and on and on. Instead of realising they had no beginning either. So time is a mental concept. And it's only pure being, pure knowing, and pure loving to be. And isn't that the fact right now? Aren't you being? Aren't you knowing? And aren't you loving to be? Yeah. It's natural and effortlessly. We've taken on this persona, and because of those words and the belief that it's separate, all our suffering seemingly occurs. And Shakespeare tells you that. When you see it's a vibration, or before you see it's a vibration, you believe, you don't take any notice, or you haven't heard what he said, but then he says there's nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. It's the thinking that's the cause of your problem. And Shakespeare and the Saga tells you, nothing can trouble you except in your own imagination. Nothing at all can trouble you. That's a big thing, isn't it? All the troubles you've had, all the troubles you're going through, and all the troubles you're like that. Nothing, no thing, none of these things can trouble you except in your own imagination. Now, what's imagination? Image in, break it down to imagine. Image in. And what's an image? It's only a seeming pattern, shape and form that's seeming to be real. And what's that pattern, shape and form made out of it? Like every other pattern, shape and form, every other image in this manifestation, it's made out of that life essence or awareness, which is vibrating into pattern, shapes and form. So nothing can trouble you except in your own imagination. So we are imaging in, creating mental or conceptual images and taking them to be real. If you see everything fresh and new without putting any labels on it, ask yourself, what is wrong with right now if I don't think about it? If I'm not thinking about it, what images are there? Isn't everything just as it is? What is means it's unaltered, unmodified, uncorrected. Leave it as it is, unaltered, unmodified, uncorrected. No preference, no partiality, no comparison, where it's not discriminated by thought or concept or word. then it is as it is. And isn't what is, which is not time-bound, isn't it transient? Isn't it ever fresh, spontaneous, and ever new?
Yes.
So that presence awareness is ever fresh, ever new. And you are that. You are that without the word, without the label. You are non-conceptual awareness, or the absolute. And they say that God is love. Well, if God is love, love must be God.
Yes.
So we think love's separate. But this love that just you know is within you and resonate, or you are, that essence is there, you take it as a personal love. But see, there's a godliness in you. Love is life, and you are the life. And life lives on life. Out of life, more life comes. See that you are the life. Take the life out of that body, they're a corpse. Corpse got eyes, ears, heart, lungs, mouth, all those organs are there. They're not a bit of good to it without that life essence flowing through it, that animation. What are you? You are the animating life that's vibrating, patterning and shaping and forming this manifestation. So you are already that. And the time's gone on long enough, so I'll leave it there. And got any questions? Or
Yes, there is a request. There is a request from Theodore. Hey Bob and Kat, tell us something about being humble.
Well, humble, humility, the true humility is where there's no one to be either humble or proud.
Yes.
But if I think I'm humble, I can be proud of my humility. So, and the other way round. If I think I'm humble, or if I think, yeah, I can be proud of my humility. Neither you. So humbleness, humility and pride are the two opposites. And when can only be applied to someone or something that can be humble, or something can be not humble. But when there's no one to be either humble or proud, that's true humility.
Yes, I have a really nice input here from Amarnath. I can sit myself there. Lentil door to God is so small that you need to bend yourself to enter it. That's from Ramana Maharshi. And you become so small, humble, minute, that no one can identify you. That's from Nisargadatta.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there is no you, there's no one to be proud or humble, and that's the freedom.
That you can be that small, but, you know,
Yeah.
well, take the smallest, minutest thing. Can you find a centre to it?
No.
Well, take the largest thing. Can you find a centre to space?
No.
So that's the minuteness they're talking about. That lack of a point anywhere at all. It can expand itself to the stars and can bring itself back to the minutest point at all.
Yeah, just relinquish the boundary, any sort of a boundary of the identification, and you can't say whether you're big or small. You can't say whether, you can say that you are, but what you are, how you are.
Where there's no one to be either humble or proud.
That's right.
But it expresses in either way. It can express in all its different ways. But who or what is expressing it?
Yeah.
The one essence, patterning, shaping, forming, expressing and appearing as everything. And there's no, all this manifestation is made up of things. The trees are thing, the flowers are thing, I'm a thing, you're a thing, all appearing in that basic screen of no thing.
Yeah.
So if it's only appearing in the no thing, can something come from nothing? So it's the no thing that's patterning, shaping and forming and appearing and expressing as the everything. So get the me out of the road altogether. There was never any separate entity.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing other than that. Innately you already know that, because you say that's the tree, that's the flower, that's the chair, that's the carpet, that's you, that's me. Everything is that one essence, that one reality. But we've put labels, shapes and forms and patterns on it and taken it to be separate. But there's absolutely no separation in the inseparable.
I think I'll move the camera because you are not looking at people. You're looking out. Maybe this way. That will be better. Yes, we have the comment also, Rohan quoting Douglas Harding, and what you really, really are, as the origin of the world, it takes a lot of humility to be as great as you are.
So, they're both ends of the same stick, humility and pride, proud.
Right, yes.
They're both the same.
And in essence you are nothing, but in the expression you are everything, which means there will be a ways in expression when you look at the big gorilla who doesn't have conceptualized self, a separate self, and it will appear very proud of its fight won for being an alpha male, and there will be a situation when he will be defeated and it will appear as the humility. Everything is valid in the appearance. In the appearance we are totality. In the appearance we have all of those moments of glory and moments of defeat and moments of pride and moments of humility, only when we label it, of course. Because when we don't label it, it's just a different frequency of the energy moving through the body. It's the very low energy of shame, and if you don't label it, it's just a sound, it's just a vibration that is having a particular frequency. And then we have the highs and lows and everything. Life is so generous. It just gives you a taste of everything. And if it didn't, if there wasn't a taste of a bitter, there wouldn't be a taste of a sweet. If there was no night, there wouldn't be a day. So, yeah. But it's a nice question, the idea of humility and pride. If you see that it always applies to an entity that wants to possess certain qualities and deny or reject or suppress some other qualities. We are all told to be good and not to be bad. So any point of badness...
When it comes to humility or pride, who can have it? And anything can happen to me, can't it?
Yeah.
Only when it's taken on the absolute wouldn't know either one. It's only me that can feel humble or me that can feel proud. All these concepts apply to when they apply to the believed in me. That's when they cause problems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we have Amarnath. Excellent explanation. Frequently misunderstood, humbleness is blasting of ego becoming, as there are no others, only non-dual awareness. No need to become humble, just be. You already are that.
Beautiful.
Beautiful, yeah. Yeah, there is no one to become. And Ben is asking, how best to serve that? How best to serve that?
How what does that?
Just read it. Best to serve that.
How best?
Yes.
To serve what? Just to be.
Yeah.
You just be as you are. The absolute. Let go of the self-centre. See that the ego is a fiction. Ask yourself, who's it all happening to? Who needs to serve, me or I?
Yeah, it's a beautiful question coming from the kindness of the heart, where you do really want to be at service and you want to be the best self of yourself. But the truth is, it's not in your hands. If you stay in the heart, when the kindness of the question, the warmth and the desire to be at service comes from the heart, stay with that motivation in the heart, and the life will move you and guide you, because you're not the doer.
Yeah. What made you ask that question?
Yes, yeah.
If there's no you, the question comes up. That might be a lead to see what comes up next and points you to do what needs to be done.
Yes.
That's what needs to happen always. Who's this happening to? Who wants to know? Who's asking this question? And the answer will always be, I am.
Yes.
Then you'll go into it a bit further. Who's this I or me? Is there an I or me that is substantial or real? And you realise I or me is just two words. What are they appearing in? If that awareness or life essence wasn't there, could you have those words? You weren't born with them, you've learnt them. Would they be there without the life? So every word, every thought, every idea, every image is an expression of that life.
Yeah.
And expressing every body, every mind is an expression of that life. But take the life out, what are you? You're a corpse, you're nothing. So you must be the life itself. Not the person, not the body, not the mind, not the individual, not the separate entity. None of those things are what I am. I am is present. It is this presence. I am is not unaware. It is this awareness. I am is not separate. It is the absolute. So we take all those concepts. Oh, the great perfection is non-conceptual awareness. Nothing can trouble you except in your own imagination. If I'm not imaging in anything, then it doesn't mean to say that images won't appear, that the earth will stop rolling around the sun, that the seasons will stop coming and going, that you'll stop breathing, your heart will stop beating. All this functioning will go on. But the sense of separation will be recognised that it is not so. It's absolute. It's an absolute patterning, shaping and forming. And you are that absolute. Though it's a seeming separate entity, an individual, it needs something to express through, so it's formed that pattern. But that pattern is transient like everything else. It's constantly changing.
Yes, so Amarnath, dear Bob, can you highlight about your mind attacks, memory of desire, of fear, before your realization, troubleshooting in self-abidance?
What trouble?
Troubleshooting in self-abidance. Can you highlight your situation when the mind was attacking and memories were attacking?
Well, highlighted was one big highlight of dramas, traumas, anger, fear, resentment, guilt, shame, remorse, jealousy, envy. All those things would come up and take and deliver of, believe that I was doing them. But looking at it, did I want those things to happen? Did I want to be angry like you or anybody else doesn't want to be like that? No. Did I want to be fearful? No. They just happened, but not recognising or understanding who or what I really was. They were believed in. And then they were tried to get rid of, and there was resistance to them, or there was a conflict with them. All sorts of things were going on. And the highlight of that was a lot of psychological suffering, a lot of traumas, a lot of dramas. a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. Life was pretty miserable. And of course, even then, there were moments, brief moments, when there could be a little bit of clarity. But they never lasted. Like sometimes in between rainstorms, when the sun shines through with the clouds, but then another cloud will come and obscure it. Well, the same thing was like here. But I didn't know or realise that was the cloud of thought that was blocking the sunlight of the spirit. Seemingly obscuring it. It can't be obscured, but it's seemingly so. With the thickness of the clouds, But when it got that bad, that it made me, took through all that to make me look into something else, to something different. And instead of the closed mind, the way the mind was closed to anything at all, any beliefs, or the beliefs were all there, but the beliefs were believed in, those or any new way of thinking was closed off to, there was a little chink, the cloud, the sun, or the light of the spirit pierced through the cloud of thought. And I got a taste of it. And that taste was recognised and it wanted more. And it went on, and the clouds and thoughts and feelings and emotions were investigated and seen through. And as it tells you, the false can't stand that up to investigation. Well, in the investigation it fell apart. But it didn't, it can fall off the seeing through, but naturally the old habit patterns, it'll come up again when it gets the least opportunity. So it needs to be seen through again and again and again, just the same as the old habit patterns we've formulated didn't come once. They were reinforced by ourselves many, many times, our schools, our society, all around us, our friends and everything like that, and especially ourselves. We keep reinforcing them and believing to be so because that's what we were told, that's what we understood. And it wasn't until the investigation happened that they were seen through and recognised that they weren't what they appeared to be. And they had no power whatsoever, as it tells you in Insing Ming, when it goes through all the opposites and breaks it all down. It finishes up and says, words. The way is beyond language. It's beyond language. For in it there's no yesterday, no tomorrow, and no today. Where does that? No yesterday, I can't go into the past. No tomorrow, I can't imagine the future or worry about the future. And no today, I can't even be bothered thinking about today. What's going to happen then? Leaving it as it is. And as it's transient, do you think it's going to stop? It's going to continue to be transient, continue to be change. But if you're with that change, instead of being against it, instead of resisting it and being in conflict, if you're with it, you think it can take you away from the natural state, the pure intelligence entity, the reality that you are. It can only reinforce it, or realise, or recognise, or understand, or know the truth. And what must you be free from? You're free from all these erroneous beliefs we have, which they tell us in the scriptures are ignorance. And we get the wrong take on that, because as soon as we hear that word ignorance, or oh, I'm dull, I'm stupid, I don't know, I'm ignorant. But it doesn't mean that at all. It means we ignore. Instead of going into it and recognising it, we shut ourselves off from the sunlight of the Spirit. We ignore it. And that insanity goes on within us again.
There is a nice question here from Michael. Do those energies of shame and pride still arise for you, Bob or Kat. I can't imagine that. Much love to you both. Thank you, Michael.
The energies always vibrate and arise. They're sensations, thought, feeling and emotion. Thought, the feeling comes up, or a sensation. Now, if we put their label on a sensation that's come up, that might appear the same as what it's always, like I think anger's always been the same at all. But see it as fresh and new. Look at it as though, as everything is fresh and new, which it is. See everything as fresh and new. Don't sit the old conceptual idea or image on it. Then it can't last. Because the recognition is there, that's not how it's appearing to be. And it settles back into the natural state again. The natural state which is pure being, pure knowing, pure awareness, pure absoluteness, the great perfection. It's all that absolute.
So do you experience shame?
It'll come. The experience. I do not experience anything. There's no experiencer here. But the experiencing of all these labels will come up, yes. But they don't hang around, as I said. They can't hang around. All the old sensations which have been labelled from past events and experience, they're still there as far as that's concerned, because they put the past label on them without questioning. But if you question everything as it comes up, see everything as fresh and new, ever fresh presence awareness, see it's a fresh and new sensation or feeling. Now what you might call shame, what is it? Who is there to be shameful? Me. But if I'm not relating to the persona again, what is it? It's just another fresh and new feeling or sensation, and it'll move on. If it's attached to or fixated on, it'll be kept there and become overwhelming like it used to do. But don't attach or fixate on anything. It's unfixated awareness. Well, don't fixate it, let it be. It's free to move if it's not fixated on. While it's fixated on, it's being held there, held by a concept, a believed in entity. And the conceptual image or a believed in entity is hanging on to it and clinging to it. And the believed in entity is seemingly suffering accordingly.
How about self-hatred or self-pity?
Well, is the Absolute ever hating? Or is it the Absolute full of pity?
Well, if you believe yourself to be an individual inside the Absolute, it may be.
Yeah, that's what I say. You've got to believe yourself to be something separate from the Absolute. Nothing in it, you can't add anything to the Absolute. It's always and ever the Absolute. It's always totally full.
Yeah, I don't know if I would be saying the same thing, or maybe just in different words, or maybe that's the whole different thing, because every experience through every musical instrument will be a different music, different sound, different flavor. So who knows? I can't never say whether the experience, the dog and a cat have the same sort of an experience, temporary experience of the passing energies. Being is the same, but the flavor, the modification of it, whether it is a shame or self-hatred, I have to say I did not see any trace of self-hatred or self-pity for last over 5 years. It never happened. It just doesn't. I don't think I'm even capable of having those sort of beliefs, because this has to be related to the self, which I don't believe exists. But I can tell you the funny thing with the couple of times I've seen something like a shadow of shame, which was almost ironic, almost like a cartoon character, almost like a comedy sort of a thing, like some old shadow, something that I would know that 10 years ago would develop to the sense of shame that would be really, really deep and dark. But right now, because it can't develop, as Bob said, you see it fresh and new. So it doesn't grow, the story doesn't grow, the feeling doesn't stick, the label doesn't fit, because it's the energy. I can't even honestly call it shame, because it is not. To be shame, you would have to believe that there is a me who has done something wrong or who is entirely wrong. I think guilt is doing wrong and shame is being unworthy. So for that shame to spiral up to be fully blown human experience of guilt or shame, you do have to believe in the entity, or you do have to believe in the doership. Although, as Bob says, the vibration is not completely unavailable. Every vibration, like every weather, is still appearing on the sky, but the interpretation of it, it's like to interpret that vibration as a shame, I would really have, I couldn't do that. I would have to, I would laugh myself to death. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It is something that could potentially, or would, or did potentially develop to that sort of a sensation. But there is a social a role or function of those feelings. There is a function for the anger, there is a function for the fear, for shame, for guilt. That function is still fulfilled. So if there is something, something, whatever, I break something and I'll go and admit it and I feel a little bit uneasy about it, that still has that human aspect in it. Like, I wouldn't call myself, at least in that situation, a psychopath incapable of reflecting on my own actions. I wouldn't be going and stealing because I'm shameless and guiltless. It is not how it appears. And if the feeling is there, the feeling still communicates that something is not as pure and beautiful and light as it usually is. So that is still a guiding energy. That's the energy that brings that self-reflection to the actions, even though there is no doer of the action. There is no sense of worth per se. But yeah, the capacity for the feeling is there, but it doesn't develop to the point in which you become self-obsessed, self-centered, pitiful little me that is wrong. And that was the same thing you were saying, or
pretty much
close
so.
enough?
When you say, when the shadow comes up or something.
Yeah.
What's the shadow mean? It just means you've moved out of the sunlight.
Yeah.
So you got the warning sign there?
It's almost like an invitation.
Yeah.
Like the old sort of a habit pattern of feeling unworthy or ashamed. Unworthy never came back to me. But perhaps, the modification of it would be shame, guilt, and stuff like this. It comes and it invites you, but you just don't take a bite because you just don't. You can't. It's like it's too ridiculous. I mean, why would you? I mean, it's not even that you have choice. You see through it. It's laughable. It doesn't take you for the trip. I have not been on the guilt trip, shame trip, or unworthiness trip. It's just it's not an experience anymore. Invitation may be still showing up, but just can't take it seriously. It just can't. Amarnath, thanks for everything. Everyone in this universe is helping you. Thanks for this. Everything, everyone in this universe is helping you. No one is troubling you for self-realization except our own imagination. Bob echoed this infinite times. You echo it infinite times. Nothing is troubling except in your own imagination, and even troubling for self-realization. Thank you, Amarnath. And of course all the beautiful icons as usually. Nice cheerful faces and hearts and beautiful. And Johannes, so thoughts, feelings, emotions are energy forms for no one and no reason, right?
Yes.
Beautiful.
Just like in nature, that sort of thought, feeling, emotion takes steam, water and ice. Just three aspects of the one thing. First, steam, the water evaporates and forms steam, then the steam cools down, becomes water again, and then the water cools down and becomes ice. So thought is very subtle, then the sensation or feeling will come up, then the emotion will come up where it's solidified. Another way of putting that, spirit and matter.
Yeah.
I call it, when you get on the idea there's such a thing as spiritual, and then the opposite of spirit is the material, the manifest. Well, what's spirit is essence, and manifest is simply
A matter.
yeah. Like blood coagulates, forms a solid, or the water becomes ice. So the spirit becomes matter.
Like a famous equation that Einstein put up, energy equals matter, multiplied by light speed square. But yeah, energy equals matter. Spirit is a matter, so that's why they can't know each other, because they're the same.
Yeah, well, energy is light,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
light is intelligence, isn't it? By the way, another word for intelligence is a light. Of intelligence, we see the world. It's light of intelligence in what the world appears in.
Yeah.
Intelligence, energy. The activity of knowing.
Yeah, it's a nice way. Thoughts, Johannes said, thoughts, feelings, emotions, energy forms for no one and no reason. It's just an expression. Like really, if the painter is creating a piece of art and it has a reason to impact the world, or it has the purpose, or it has the agenda, and it is doing it for his own fame or his own recognition, all those agendas, feelings, recognitions, impacts, goals, all of that are just a story added to the pure natural instinct of expression. And that creative power of light or intelligence energy is they call it creator because it is creative. So it expresses as thoughts, feelings, emotions, forms, movements, dances, sounds, all of it, because it is creative. But we give it a meaning. Oh, everything in life happens for a reason. Oh, everything happens for me as a lesson, so I can get better, or I can... Those are beautiful. Those are also ways in which it expresses. Those are thoughts. Those thoughts are another way it expresses. The stories, another way it expresses.
Yeah.
But they are just narrative.
Simple way of putting it, Shakti dances and the world appears.
Yes. So everything happens for a reason is a story. But that story is just one way of infinite creativity to paint its beautiful world, to dance the Shakti dance. This is the way she dances. Or the Maya, another beautiful dress of a gorgeous Maya.
Yeah.
Stories. Don't we love them? And why not? If they seen for what they are, you're bound to appreciate them. They're amazing. Tanya, what is feared, or what there is anxiety about is only imagination. False evidence appearing real usually. Take off the labels. Have a look. Is there a feeler? Someone the emotion is happening to. Is there someone the emotion's happening to? That really helps a lot to see that there is no separate entity. This is what I've been looking at recently. And this is what it is really to look at. Everything happens just the same with no entity. And with no entity, even the story happens for no one, to no one. Yes, beautiful, Tanya. You're looking in the right direction. You're expressing it beautifully.
Well, no thing has ever happened.
That's right, yeah.
What appear to be things are the happening, but it's just the happening. No.
Yes, just the happening. Just whatever is happening in the moment. Just that unique moment full of imagined things. I mean, things that are labeled out of the pure field of potentiality, homogeneous blob of potentiality, now becomes a world, because the transmitter receiver creates with every thought, with every feeling, with every sensation, impression. It becomes a piece of art. John, the knowledge I am cannot be objectified. Therefore, there is nothing for the mind to label. Knowledge I am cannot be objectified.
No.
Yeah, no, it's pure subjectivity. Yeah, you can't make it it.
The knowledge I am is just a sense of presence, isn't it?
That's it. Yes. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful recognition, John. Yes, it's nothing for the mind to do here. Mind is labeling. Mind is the instrument that is objectifying things. That's a beautiful insight. Thank you. Yeah, well said. I'll read it again. The knowledge I am cannot be objectified. Therefore, there is nothing for the mind to label. Yes. Thus, I do not experience anything, but the experiencing happens. Great reminder, Bob. Thank you and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Dad, and thank you.
Mm.
Experiencing, seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, they're the actuality, thinking. Experiencer, experience, thinker, feeler and felt are the conceptual image.
Yes.
So the ing on it is the actual functioning.
Yeah, Michael says beautiful answers, thank you. And Barbara, separate person hiding within the absence. It even sounds ridiculous. True, that's well put. Separate person hiding within the absolute.
Yeah.
Absolute, within the absolute.
We've conned ourselves, haven't we?
Yes. Separate person hiding within the absolute. The Amarnath. My gratitude to you, Bob, for your sharing. Sun, self, is always shining in the midst of clouds, mind, thoughts. It can be never obscured, even during thunderbolt or hurricane.
Exactly.
Beautiful, continuous investigation without investigator is the only way of overcoming ignorance. And a lot of beautiful icons. Thank you again for your clarity that there is no one is there in you to have shame, guilt. There is no interpreter. Mind functioning is happening as it works on opposites, apparent duality, background of non-duality is not lost or gained.
Yeah.
Beautifully said.
Nothing can be taken away, nothing can be added.
Said. Yes. Yeah, the sky never goes away because it's not a thing. It's an empty space. It can't be lost. How would that? And joy? I am a sailor too, and I just go with the current about land life, but still sea life is on my mind. That's why I'm not affected with it. Steady as she goes, in my horizon is always clear. My horizon is always clear. Beautifully said. Yeah, something profoundly beautiful about sailing, being a sailor. Watching from Colorado, M8 Bob, and hi to our daughter.
What's that?
Joy says, watching from Colorado, M8 Bob, and hi to our daughter.
Joey David.
Yeah. Yeah. Thus, I love the way Bob brings it right back to happening, as distinct from the reference point that is believed things are happening too. This pointer of Bob's has had me face the me in its many disguises, an ongoing discovery of what isn't real. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, too.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you for the clear answer from Johannes. And agree Tassos, Barbara says. And Michael, every insight, pure, random, beautiful chaos.
Whichever way you take it.
Yeah.
Just as it is.
Just as it is. Chaotic, yes. Orderly, a mystery. Yeah, I like the way, I think Nisargadatta is also pointing this way, but I always refer to Bob explaining the idea of spontaneous. Spontaneous means unfolding moment to moment. It's not predetermined, it's not chaotic, it's not organized, it's spontaneous. At the same time, it kind of, in the dance, the structure may emerge and may disappear, and the rhythm may change, and it's just like a weather. Everything is just a spontaneous expression. Sometimes it may feel chaotic, sometimes it may feel organized, sometimes it all included. Amarnath, time, tense, past tense, present tense, future tense, is tension. Doesn't exist at all. Still, we can have fun for discussions.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Tense, yeah.
That's a cool.
Tension. Tension is time, yeah.
Cool insight into the language. Beautiful. Yeah. Time is tense. Yeah. Yeah, because it's a contraction. Luis, hello from Sri Lanka. I finally made it for a live broadcast. Welcome.
Welcome, yeah.
And D, if the past is any guide, then I am could be wildly had to be an etherical, cute, furry animal somewhere in the cosmos, guiding and punishing, etc. If the past is any guide, then I am could be a widely held to be an etherical, cute, furry animal somewhere in the cosmos, guiding and punishing, etc.
That's just. Can only be if you take yourself separate and apart from it. If you start from the fact you already are that.
Yeah.
You don't need any guide or any punisher.
Yeah. Yeah, if there is no you, everything's just unfolding as it should. And there is a open space of curiosity mixed with appreciation. I call it a natural state, because in that it is like all allowing, without any doing. It's not a doing of allowing, but it's just absent of resistance, just like space. It doesn't resist anything, it doesn't allow anything either. But it is a background, it is a field in which all the dance of forms comes and goes. Chris, hello from Indiana. Thanks for sharing your insights with us. Love you guys.
Love you too.
From us. Yes.
Yeah.
And thank you everyone for beautiful insights. We are done with the comments for now. No more comments for now.
No more comments?
Nope. Unless I see on this one? No. No more comments. You want me to cook lunch for you?
I guess so, yeah.
Yes. So
thank you everybody.
Thank you everyone.
For the beautiful pointers that are coming back.
Yes, and that's almost in the no time end of the year.
Yeah.
And Catherine says, so wonderful to be with you again. With love from James and Catherine on the Goulburn River.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice up there, good.
Enjoy the nature and lots of love from us. And have a wonderful grey season. They call it grey period, when you actually review the whole year and you look what was good in it, and all that romantic ideas of bringing up another story of learning or story of experiencing, if you ever do it, because it's totally what life moves. Yeah, so have a wonderful grey period of reflection if you do it, and wonderful now, and Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Thank you for being, Julia says, and ditto. Thank you, wonderful spiel and sharing as usual. Lots of love and thank you. And now we have a lot of thank you messages. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for sharing your beautiful insights and your nice, smart, bright realizations, which are always such a joy to see. And yeah, have a wonderful party if you do. And a happy new year, and I'll see you next Sunday. And whoever wants to join us on Zoom, always welcome. We do it on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Isn't Thursday New Year Eve?
Yeah, it will be, yeah.
Yeah, it is for us, but it isn't for America and other. Are we gonna be there or no on Thursday, on New Year Eve? Are you gonna do Zoom, or are you gonna take a break?
I'll be here, I guess, yeah.
You'll be here, okay.
New Year's Eve, what else you got to do but wait till midnight, if you want to.
Yeah. Well, I'm working New Year, so I don't mind. Yeah, so he's happy to do that. And
You
I don't mind. I'm working on New Year in the morning. So.
in the morning, yeah. That's you.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to join us on the New Year, if you don't have any wild party, we're gonna be on Zoom, and if not, we're gonna just hang around and.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all the best. Lots of love.
Love you all. Be with what is right now, just as it is.